like at WNST, spend 15 minutes off the air before we go on the air catching up on everything because, of all the Ravens guys, all these years later and watching Ray Lewis, you're one of the guys that stuck being my friend, Mike Flynn. So not just a sports commentator that I personally trained and honed to give all these great insights that you give up there on Boston Sports Radio, but also a guy after my Pearl Jam heart, my football heart. Your kids are running around doing Little League and acting on Broadway. Dude, you're like one of the busiest dudes I know, and now you're going to go coach football like Mulatalo? What are you thinking, dude? What are you thinking?
I mean, I always keep moving. You are right, though. A big part of being a radio or in the talk radio business, you need to be abrasive, annoying, those type of qualities. And yes, I learned that from you. I want to thank you for that. You taught me well.
And you come on here and you kick me in the nuts right out of the gate. It's all that Boston angst is what it is. Hey, it's because my team won the Stanley Cup. That's why it is, Flinner.
Probably. No, I wanted the Capitals to win. I wanted I actually did. I mean, once the Bruins were out of it, Capitals were easily a second choice. But yeah, I'm coaching high school football, prep school, bunch of smart kids, so I got to put my toe back in the water. Obviously, I'd love to coach at a collegiate or professional level, but
really,
you see my
whoa. You said obviously you'd like to coach. Really?
Oh, I would love to coach. I mean, it's in my blood.
You think that you're going to do that? You think 10 years from now you could be bunkered down in an NFL camp, as a line coach or something?
Oh, I could, but when you've seen my crew, I got 4 little guys, and you've been around coach. You know a lot of great coaches, especially at when you're coaching a position. It's very transient. I mean, even if you're a good coach, potentially you could be 3 or 4 different places in 12 years. So. This is kind of the happy medium. Coaching at the high school level, it'll be cool.
What's the name of the team again? Give it to me. I want to look it all up because how I know this stuff? I'm Facebook friends with your wife. So, she said that you are molding these young men's minds. And I said, he's going to work like the masters in the oils and clays.
Oh, I'm going to kill him. I can't even wait. No, but it's not like the old days. Two-a-days and yelling at guys. I mean, kids need to be treated with kid gloves nowadays.
This is Camp Cream Puff. This is a billet camp, is what you're telling me.
Oh, it's brutal. It's beyond the billet. Billet's camp seems hard compared to what kids do now.
So what's the name of the school? Give it all to me.
It's the Pingree School.
Okay, and their nickname are the Fighting...
The Highlanders.
The Highlanders. Okay, the mighty because I want to know this and sort of file it for the next time we talk. So I'm asking you how the mighty Highlanders are doing when I call you. I don't know. By the way, it's my 50th birthday, October 14th, so that's like week 6. So I'm probably going to reach back to you right about then. The Red Sox will have won 111 games, right? And they'll be down 2-1 in one of these series, and they're going to need some special mojo, right? I mean, so you and I will connect, but if I don't want to bring Vegas into this, but what are the expectations this year for the Highlanders and you taking over the program? Have they been, 8-2 the last couple of years, or have they been struggling and scuffling? Where is Mike Flynn finding the Highlander program right now?
I think as a coach, right, you want to get into a situation where you can't lose, right? If you win, you get pat on the back. If you lose, it's like, well, you're building something. So I'm sliding into a program that is, I believe, like back-to-back 4-4 type of season. So, I mean, I'm golden.
Whoa. Hold on. I'm reading here from the website. Hold on. The 44-year-old Flynn, who played 11 years in the National Football League, will become the second football coach in Highlanders history. We are thrilled to welcome Mike Flynn to the Pingree community and to our varsity program, said Betsy Kennedy, the school director of athletics. He brings a wealth of experience playing and coaching football, confident his knowledge, passion for the game, and commitment to the development of student athletes, molding the minds, will help lead the program. Flynn takes over from Chris Powers, who created the Pingree football program, coached it for 12 years, combined 68-39, including a pair of prep school bowl championship wins. This is a high bar here, Flinner. You're not taking over like Lansdowne here or something. Okay?
Well, here's the thing. It's the last couple of years they've struggled a little bit, but there's talent there.
Okay, all right.
I'll come in, and when you watch the tape, they're a few plays away from being 8-2. You get to 8-2, and now you can get into the championship game. So that's my goal. If I improve by a couple games, then we should be in good shape.
Well, your goal should always be to be a champion. I mean, you're not a Baltimore Oriole, Flinner, okay? I mean, you're a Raven. You're a champion. Remember that. Look, man, the reason I reached, obviously the Ray Lewis thing, and we'll get back onto your coaching career, your kids' Broadway, and the fun we're having, and I'm seeing Pearl Jam out in Missoula, Montana this week, and you and I are trying to put together a little Fenway rendezvous as well. But the Ray Lewis thing, you're 20 years out on this, bro. I mean, and you're now living on the legacy of being a champion and getting a football gig and following your dream to coach and all that kind of stuff. Where were you over the weekend and watching all of this, and where do you sit? I ran into many of your teammates. Maybe you would have loved to have been there, and you got kids running around, and you just couldn't make it. But it was a wonderful reunion. You know what I mean? Like seeing Keith Washington, seeing Goose and Burnett and Jamie Sharper and Dwayne Starks and Rex Ryan and Marvin and Brian and just all of Trent. I mean, Trent was there. It really warmed my heart, and it makes me want to reach out and touch all of you, and I have. Brad Jackson and I chatted this week. But, boy, it's a really special thing you guys did, and I know when you and I were on the Humvee driving through, when you had that video camera that you gave me, and I filmed all that stuff that I'm never going to see again because you lost the freaking tape, Flynn. It was amazing, man. And where were you? And give me the whole thing. Do your kids ask you about this stuff, man?
Yeah, they do. I mean, I watched the ceremony and stuff, and a lot of the jacket ceremony the night before with my son Joe, who's really into football. I was home. I was in Boston, and I got a couple texts from guys, and Trent texted me and asked me if I was in Canton because I haven't seen him in a little bit. Fortunately, we have some guys that kind of put together different reunions down in Baltimore. We went last year. Guys from the Super Bowl are going again this year. I think it's the Saint game. We're all going to be in town. So. I had so much going on with taking the new job. My son was running around in New York. I was still coaching summer baseball. I couldn't get out there. And, fortunately, a lot of the guys still go to Baltimore. But, yeah, I sat, watched with him, and gave him a few stories about the different players and all that kind of stuff and the dance and J.O. being up there. But, I'd love to have been out there. I couldn't quite do it. But, yeah, I mean, when you see that kind of stuff, J.O., I felt more I was, kind of part of him being in there. Obviously, with Ray being on the other side of the ball, but I certainly feel, lucky to be a part of his career for 11 years, where I got a chance to see him, play every game, practice. Never seen a guy with that kind of emotion, even at the practice level. So,
did he ever put you on your ass? I mean, do you have a Ray Lewis story where he buried you, or you buried him, or you had a laugh? I mean, I remember that era, and you were there long enough to know Ray enough to be around it, to feel it on the young side of it, and then to sort of watch it after you were done, and your kids are coming along, and you're feeling good. You've lost your weight. You're doing radio, and your team's winning another Super Bowl, and there's Ray in the middle of it, right? I mean, it's. And even for maybe even Sizzle and Cook and a couple of the other guys that you sort of touch and came in contact with, there is still, there was a long passing of the torch here, right? There's a lot of alumni involved in Ray Lewis.
Oh, yeah, you think about it. I mean, even, the guys he played with, he started the franchise, and guys from 2012, Suggs is on the team. I mean, Flacco. So, think about the length of his arms in a franchise that just started in '96. I mean, it's pretty amazing. So certainly and I think a lot of those guys flew out there to see him in his induction. So I mean, he does have a big shadow over the franchise. Obviously, played longer than Jo. So he really is that franchise, man. I mean, he still has his fingertips. There's still guys playing that he influenced, that he showed how to be true pros, that kind of stuff, and probably will be for a few more years. So he's a very iconic guy. Like, J.O. was a great player, probably redefined the position, but, when you think of iconic players, and don't get me wrong, I think Ray is the greatest middle linebacker of all time, but these iconic figures that are with a city, I mean, this guy is basically, been a part of, when this thing got started, and he still influenced guys that are in team now.
Well, you know what it's like to game plan, right? And when Urlacher's the guy on the other side of the ball for you, it's not just about you. It's about the quarterback. It's about the running back, the tight ends, where every guard needs to be, on guard for all sorts of switches happening at the line of scrimmage. But, you know what it's like to look up in a practice full on and see Ray Lewis out there running you at full speed. And that probably was different than most of the other things you saw. I would think, and you can speak to this, did he make you better? I ask if he put you on your ass a few times, but I would think you learned a few lessons out there running around with Ray Lewis that said, maybe the guy I'm playing this week can't even do that, but boy, the things that Ray could do, if you could prepare for Ray, you could prepare for anybody, right?
No, you think of the defensive players that I had to play over my career, right? It's, the cliche, you get better in practice, and that's true, but who you playing against? You playing against some dog or duck, or you playing against a legitimate, player, right? And here it's Ray Lewis and McCreary and Burnett's and on and on and on. But, being, especially when I moved to the center position, even at the guard position, you had a big responsibility. And in the middle, linebacker was a lot of times your guy you had to get. So we constantly had battles in training camp. And, and it's even the position coach is like, listen, if you can block this guy, you can block anybody. That's true. So he challenged you, and it caused me
and
to
that
get,
means a lot for a kid from Maine trying to, get somebody's attention. And in your case, it was Coletto, right? And Coletto, I'm sure, was saying, and the same thing would be true for J.O. Every time I talk to you or Ed or Spencer or even Harry, any normal guy about J.O., they're like, I couldn't do what he could do. Literally, physically couldn't do it, right?
Yeah, it does. When you played well against players like that, it certainly would impress coaches, right? Scout team guys that, will never make the team is one thing, and you still got to perform. But, when you're going against Ray Lewis, that type of guy, and you can get to him, and you can chase him down, and you could knock him on his ass, it has a lot of more, gravity than some middle-of-the-road middle linebacker. But, here's the thing. At the beginning of my career, I wasn't a starter. And I was the backup guy, just trying to make the team, and ran a lot of scout team against him. So for the better part of 2 years, it was me and him every practice and a training camp. And, one thing with him is he was a great player. He was, like Jonathan and some of these other great players, he was gifted with this athletic ability and the size of his arms and, how big he was and how fast he was that most people, a majority of people, will never have. And he was prototypical for that position. And I'm sure it's been talked to death all last couple of weeks about Ray. But, when we would run scout team, the guy was calling out the plays every time. And he always had a step on you with the mental part of the game. And now you had to try to chase him down. And that's why he had a lot of success. I don't know if you remember that big play. I think it was Miami or San Diego. He blitzed the A-gap on a fourth down.
It was a Sproles play. I was on the field when it happened. Of all the plays I've ever seen on the field, that play happened at a cat-like pace. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing, Nestor. That wasn't a built-in blitz. There are a lot of linebackers, and even great ones. Hey, you're blitzing the A-gap. And, it's Johnny on the spot. It was a great call by the defense coordinator. He made plays like that constantly, and if you'd watch that on tape or think wow, what a great call by Rex Ryan, I'm like, no, it's not. It's Ray Lewis. It's knowing that this guard looks like he's going to pull. I could tell by his stance or this formation, I'm shooting the A-gap, and he was right 99.9% of the time. So, that's the kind of guy you're dealing with. Here's a freak athlete, a gift from God here, the perfect player at middle linebacker. And, oh, by the way, he works his ass off, and he's smart. He really was the perfect package. And I'll always say that he is the best middle linebacker. He could run, he could tackle, but he was great in the passing game. He could drop back and make plays in the passing game. He wasn't just a running guy. It's not even close. And it's hard up here. He's hated up here for a lot of reasons. And I constantly defend the guy. And there's no doubt he is the best middle linebacker. And I don't think it's debatable. It's the speed really what separates him, but and in the passing game, he could play today with the way they use tight ends and how they spread you out in the speed game. He's a guy that could do all three downs and play all three downs at a Pro Bowl level.
Mike Flynn is our guest. He is the main event. You can follow him out on Twitter and up at the Hub in Boston and anywhere his kids are on Broadway. He's now coaching high school football and once played against Ray Lewis. And, a couple of observations. Keith Washington said to me earlier this week, you felt lucky to ever get a tackle, because Ray wanted every tackle. He said, friendly fire, he got knocked. The other thing that, I think was, Brad Jackson said the same thing. Brad said that he would study so much that he would know that if a guy touched his towel and wiped his hand off, that it was a run play or a pass play based on where he was on the field and what his tendencies were to dry his hands off. Like, literally, that sort of detail. And, Ray famously, especially after Atlanta when things changed and you were around for all that, would hold those Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night barbecue sessions at his house where all they would do was watch film. And I think part of that, you sort of caught on with Ed Reed and caught on with all the defensive guys, Rex. I mean, part of it was he really was sort of a film rat, too, and his fame and all of that coming weighing down on him led him to be a bit of a recluse, and especially in season, to do nothing but football, right? I mean, it was like all football all the time for him. And that's, I guess, the way legendarily, and probably you were around Tom Brady for 5 minutes, and some people we know, like Brandon Stokely, were around Peyton Manning, and still is around Peyton Manning all the time, that loving it is really all of it, right? Like Ray Lewis loved football.
I mean, to be good at the game of football, and unlike a lot of the other sports, it is a grinder, right? You need to be, it's 6 days of work for one game, and everything that goes into that, as opposed to you play one day, you get a game off, play two in a row, or baseball, you play every day. I mean, there's a lot of build-up to a game, right? And there's a certain mentality. It's easy to get distracted during the course of the week, but to kind of bunker in and watch film the right way, which obviously you could, and to pick up subtle differences and don't watch a tape just to log minutes. Oh yeah, I watch, but what are you watching? What are you trying to get out of it? And you need some sort of like quality, right, to sit there and be able to grind through that. And he had it, and to enjoy it, because that was the hard part of it. I mean, I'm sure he can go out there and Sundays and play it. It's not a big deal, but it was during the week that the grind and preparing for opponent that he enjoyed. To play that long, you have to. I mean, even by the time I was done. After 11 years, like I just couldn't even, the off season and getting ready for practice every week. I mean, it was a grind for me. But for him to play that long and at that level, it's a certain quality.
It was a quest for him at the end,
and motivation that you have. Yeah, and whatever it is to be known as the best linebacker of all time. I'm sure that's part of it, but just to be the best that he could be, to motivate us, whatever it is. I mean, he had a quality there to bring a certain energy level every practice and to bring that into the film room and just the ability, right? I mean, just noticing subtle things that the average guy wouldn't. I mean, even the perception of the film and the ability to, and it's not even from in game from one play at the beginning of the game to the end. Just the ability to recall something from a couple of years ago. Like, I remember this lineman or running back played for Pittsburgh a few years ago. Now it's San Diego, and he had a tell then. He has the tell now. Like, this photographic type of memory where you don't get burnt by something twice. I mean, there's just these gifts that the great ones have that come easy to them, but for normal players like myself, it wasn't like that.
Mike Flynn, not a normal guy at all now, coaching high school football for the mighty Highlanders, Pengree Highlanders. We're going to be following you. Anything you want to say about the Ravens heading into the season? I know it's been a couple of down years, a lot of off-season. You and I get together, 3, 4, 5 times a year and actually talk sports on the radio when we're not eating crabs at Costas or whatnot. But heading into this year, there was the sky is falling in January, right? And they haven't made the playoffs, and Flacco's falling apart, and what are they going to do, and who's going to sign here, and they have no cap money, and then there was the shock of draft night of they get a tight end, the best tight end, who's a bit of a grown-up and played minor league ball and is fitting in nicely, and then they get this other quarterback that's going to make things interesting. I like everything about the offseason, the wide receivers. I like the hunger of a C.J. Mosley. I like the hunger of a Suggs and a Weddle and a Flacco and a Crabtree and the veteran guys. I feel good about this for some reason. I mean, I'm going to spend about 12 hours in Vegas. I may lay a number on the Ravens to at least make the playoffs because I think they're going to be good this year, Mike.
Well, I think they should be, too. I mean, they'll get Yonda back healthy. I love that tight end, watching him in the Hall of Fame game. He's going to be a pretty good weapon for them. Now, I like that they drafted Jackson. I mean, he didn't play great in the Hall of Fame game, but still, the offseason in camp, there's that pressure on Flacco, right? And that's the most important position. And I saw it up here in New England, right? Brady was good, and they bring in Garoppolo, and all of a sudden there was a competition, and there was somebody looking over your shoulder, and there was this competitiveness and, potential of him being the next guy, and you're out the door. And the way that Brady elevated his game, and not that Flacco's Tom Brady, because he's always been good, but he really has, if you could believe, over the last few years, elevated his game to a different level. And I think a lot of it had to do with Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, this is a guy that they drafted. Obviously, Jackson a higher draft pick than Garoppolo, but it put heat on Brady, right? And he in the offseason, the mentality, there was this focus, and I think it's going to help Flacco. It really is. And, if Jackson keep getting better and keep putting the heat on Flacco, it's only going to make him better. He's a kid that's going to take the challenge, I have no doubt, and which will translate to the field. So, I like that dynamic. I like the fact that there's somebody that really is going to challenge Flacco, and it'll make him better. And that's how you're going to get into the playoffs. He'll play better and get him some weapons. The line will get better. Obviously, defensively, you got guys motivated, veterans and young veterans, and you put it all together, and you have a chance to make the playoffs.
Well, hopefully by the time you get in here, first off, I'll be 50 years old at that point, and I turned 50 on the 14th, so the Nashville game, you'll be in here hopefully a little later on in October as well, and hope the Highlanders keep you busy around Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, up until about the middle of November. So we'll set something up. I'll get down there. I'll bring Joe down there, and I look forward to it. I'll let you know, buddy.
Flinner, take care of yourself. Always love talking sports, man.
All right, man.
Thanks for some great Ray Lewis memories, man. I think you really set the record straight on a lot of stuff, man.
Hey, my pleasure, man. It was my honor to play with him, and had an honor to play with so many great players, Hall of Fame type players. So, watching him go in, and man, the guy deserves it. He's the best of all time. That's not debatable, and I'm happy for him.
I think the purple world sort of stood still for those 40 minutes, just waiting, and I thought the speech was underwhelming, right? I mean, I don't think there was anything. It was pretty typical, but I think everybody stopped, and for that,
Sure.
I'm grateful, because I'm grateful for Ray Lewis, because all of this was made possible, by Ray Lewis. So be well, bud. We'll hope to see you up there in Boston.
Right.
Go knock him straight.
Soon,
Go mold some young minds. There he goes. Mike Flynn, the main event. You can follow him out on Twitter. He's also doing sports radio at the Hub and now coaching high school football up in the Boston area. One of my all-time favorites, Mike Flynn, joining us there. You can find that out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault. 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world. All of our stuff platforms there, as well as on our YouTube and Facebook Live. You can also email me, nasty, at WNST.net. But listen anytime, when you want, where you want, in the buyatoyota.com audio vault. It's there for you 24 hours a day on your mobile device. Our morning newspaper delivers digitally to your email inbox each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's always $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life, guaranteed. Also, the Maryland Jockey Club and our friends at Laurel racing there each and every weekend. You can find the entries at the front of WNST.net anytime, as well as in our morning newspaper. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.